You're playing the same venue to the same people every week, and it just, you're not making any money and no one's really enjoying yourself. So we sort of decided, cool, we're going to curate all of our gigs.
The scenes that we grew up in Gauteng, there's so much DIY stuff that happens. People rock up and play shows almost anywhere.
With the anti-retro vinyls, we did a lot of Durban shows regularly, and that's how I met Cam and Black Matt.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It's Nasib. One is my surname. I'm the founder of Sludge Underground Podcast. And today I've got High Anxious, a really awesome band from Cape Town. We're going to be talking about them, learning a bit more about them, and just, what they have for us in terms of, music and how long they've been going, the works. So, guys, I'm super stoked to have you guys on here. Maybe you guys can just introduce yourselves as individuals, and we can continue from there.
Cool. My name's Andre. I play guitar and I sing in the band.
I'm Sarl. I play bass. Tinus is not here. He's being represented by whichever pets would like to pop their head in.
So I take it that you guys are a three-piece.
Yes, yeah, keeping shit simple.
How are you guys able to get such a big sound out of that? Because, I obviously read with what you guys submitted, you mentioned, punk influences in there.
I don't know, being pretty loud. I think our drummer hits really hard and tends to, I feel like I'm always chasing him. So the amps are loud and the pedals are on, and, we encourage earplugs. So I think that kind of gets it there.
Yeah, before we played Metal for Africa Summerfest, which was our first sort of biggish gig. Nice. everyone in the band was like, Zandre, dude, you need to buy a noise suppressor, because his amp is always squealing because he takes it up to 11.
How was Summerfest actually? Because I've got a couple of homies that played there. I believe that's the one that had YCS on the lineup as well.
Yes, Your Cynical Sanity. Yes. Yeah, it was a vibe. Yeah, I loved it. I've been attending it since 2 years ago, since I moved to Cape Town from Joburg. I've been sort of attending it. I'm a big metal fan. And yeah, it was a vibe. I sort of shot my shot trying to get the slot, and it just worked out.
You mentioned having moved from Johannesburg. How would you guys say the scenes differ, looking at Joburg and Cape Town? Was it a very drastic shift? Is it very different in Cape Town compared to Joburg?
Yeah, I think it's something that we talk about a lot. The scenes that we grew up in Gauteng, there's so much DIY stuff that happens. People rock up and play shows almost anywhere because there's loads of bands and there's not that many venues. Whereas in Cape Town, there's a couple more venues in close proximity, but there's not as much sort of DIY stuff happening here. There are a few bands and people who are making that happen, but I think that's the biggest thing we noticed is there seems to be a little bit more DIY ethos in Gauteng. The scenes are both great in both cities. Great bands from all over, really.
Yeah, I found maybe it's just from sort of, I don't know, I've got a bit of a bad taste from the Joburg scene, but I feel like the Cape Town scene is a lot more supportive of one another.
Okay.
It's sort of, help me help you. Everyone's got everyone's back. If we release something, or if the talent or whoever releases something, I'm always there commenting on their post, and I'm sharing their post, and they do the same for us. So it's sort of, I feel like a bit more a sense of community in the Cape Town scene than I ever felt in the Joburg scene, which I don't know if the other people would agree with me, but yeah, I'm feeling like we're actually part of a scene now, and we're not just when it's not a competition.
What about the diversity? I read an article, I don't know if you guys also saw it, one that was written by Refilwe, shout out Refilwe from Text in the City, and she was just mentioning how there is literally a very little diversity when it comes to lineups. You're getting more of the same thing. Would you say it's a little more diverse in Cape Town, or is it more or less the same vibe, really?
I think it's similar. I think it's similar everywhere, really. Bands will come and go through the years, and whoever's hot right now will be playing a lot of gigs. And yeah, I think both scenes are diverse in my opinion, but it just depends how deep in it you are, I guess.
Yeah.
If you look for it, you can find diversity in both cities, I think.
Something that I think is a bit more unique for sort of high anxious is we're not really a punk band and we're not really a metal band. So we
Mm.
work on both lineups. So, you know, I'm a bit more of a metalhead, so I tend to gravitate a bit more to metal gigs, while Tinus and Z is a bit more in the punk and indie scene. So that's sort of more the bands they get into, and so we don't really we're not stuck to a certain sort of genre, or like we might be the heaviest band on a indie lineup, or we might be the lightest band on a metal lineup, which it's nice to sort of be able to swing both ways.
And you guys obviously mentioned in some of your bios as well that you guys, you won't find you guys playing, the same sort of like dive bar 2 weekends in a row, I think the words were, and how you guys are able to carefully sort of like curate shows and so on. Expand on that a bit more for me.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, I do most of the bookings for the band, and it's sort of we have we don't want to be like we've done this before like so many times, and just playing a Rumors Lounge. Like, no offense, I love Rumors Lounge, but I played Rumors Lounge in Joburg to death, and it's just you're
For
playing the
sure.
same venue to the same people every week, and it just you're not making any money and no one's really enjoying yourself. So we sort of decided, cool, we're going to curate all of our gigs. So I think up until this point, we counted, we've only played like 7 gigs. Um,
Mm.
but I mean, in this gig, it was our 2 launch gigs, like the band launch gig and our EP launch gig that we put together on our ace that we can get in at a later stage. And we played like Metal for Africa. We opened for The Narrow. We played with Beast. We're playing with Lower Hollow next week in their Stellenbosch gig, and we're playing with The Gift the week thereafter. And then in August, we're playing with The Frog, the Italian punk band that Noise Effects is bringing down. Then we've got our Joburg tour that I'm busy putting together now. So it's sort of, like once a month sort of max, and we try and be a bit
Choosy and be
and
selective
choosy.
about what gigs we
Yes.
take, and playing with bands that we admire and our friends. And um, yeah, I think we've been through
Mm.
the rigmarole of like playing gigs every weekend at various points in our lives. And I think, you know, just juggling time as a normal sort of person who doesn't do music full time. I think we like to play gigs that we like and with bands that we like at venues that we like. Not to say we're not up for anything. I think we kind of are at points, but
Yeah, we'll hear anything out, but if we say no, don't be offended.
It's definitely the smart way to go about it. You don't want to, oversaturate, and you don't want to, be easily accessible in a way. Like people have to, miss you a little bit. Sorry, we mentioned, money there at the beginning of that, because you mentioned, playing the same old venues and like, you're not making any money. How important would you guys say that is when it comes to, bookings?
I mean, thus far, I've been booking the gigs and asking how much we get paid later, but
Okay.
so
but
not very important really,
but
but
moving forward, it's like okay, we've got our first 10 gigs booked. Moving forward, we have to discuss this beforehand. But yeah, no, it's not about making money for us at all. Not at this stage, and it's probably never going to be. It's just about, I don't know, like all of us want to be musicians. Well, all of us are musicians, and it's about expressing yourself and having fun, but it needs to be worth your while at the same time. And it's,
just so that you can keep doing it,
yeah, we don't want to have to pay for example, our Joburg tour that's coming up now.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
after Metal for Africa, and after Summerfest, and after our EP launch gig, we had enough funds saved up from the gigs and from our merch sales to cover the cost for the 3 of us to fly to Joburg and back. cool, now we're
Mm.
booking the tour, so that it's not costing any of the band members a cent. So that's where it's
Mm.
at. We want to get the band to at least fund itself.
One of the things that you mentioned there actually sort of gives me the impression that you guys are doing well in that specific regard, which is merch. You said, a part of the, what went into the band financially is, successfully selling off some merch. So how have you guys, navigated that as a band? Because people don't often say it, but it's actually not as, I wouldn't say it's as easy as, some might make it. So how have you guys managed to, push merch to an extent where you've been able to get something from it and keep the band going financially?
Well, I don't know. Honestly, people are just cool. We haven't, I wouldn't say, done anything really particular to push that side of it besides just making our own shirts and trying to make designs cool. And honestly, the community's just been rad enough to buy the odd t-shirt and stuff. It's definitely not easy, like you say, but people have been cool. And for some reason, people keep buying the shirts. So we keep making them.
Z is sort of underselling our merch. Firstly, in sort of in the heart of the DIY ethos, me and the band, well, Tinas, our drummer, he was into screen printing. So from the get go, we're not outsourcing our merch. All of our merch is made in house. So we expose our own screens, and we print it ourselves, and which means we can sell our merch at cheaper at a profit. And so we're selling shirts at 150 bucks a pop, which is actually unheard of. I mean, all of the other bands are selling their shirts like 200, 300 bucks. And it's not, and I mean, sure, we're making a profit off of that, but it's more about getting the merch out there. Just having people at our shows with merch on. It's such a vibe. Like we also had a limited run of shirts for Metal for Africa that we haven't printed since. And going to a gig and seeing a person with that shirt on and being like, "Cool, yeah, you got a shirt from Metal for Africa run." It's a vibe. So yeah, it's I mean, yes, we're definitely making money from it, and it's a consistent income that we try and sort of source, but that's not the main thing.
Now, let's look at obviously the single. I mentioned a little bit about it earlier, entitled One, which you guys say is 2 years in the making. Tell me a bit more about the track and what the thinking was behind it.
Well, I think in our band there's a lot of differing tastes and kind of different influences creeping into each member's playing, and that song was one that I think was very much written in the rehearsal room with very equal contribution, and it just kind of felt right. We all sort of agreed that we liked that song. Um, and I suppose being the song with the title of the EP in it, the word ender, just felt like it made sense. It was the one that we all liked collectively the most, I suppose. And
Mm.
yeah, I think that was the choice there. Obviously, we liked them all, but that one came together really quick. Whereas some of the other ones took a little bit more massaging before we felt like we could put them out.
Yeah, I actually don't have any memory of us sort of like workshopping Untitled. It was just sort of, it was done.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a song that sort of naturally came together, and all of the pieces just fit sooner than some of the others. And I feel like as like the 6 song EP, if I would want someone to listen to one song on the EP, that would give you a taste of the rest of the songs. Untitled One would be the best representation of what we sound like.
It's very beautiful, and I also saw that you guys obviously produced. You mixed it, you mastered it yourselves. It's absolutely impressive what you guys are doing, because artists right now aren't only just artists. You obviously have quite a lot more that goes into it. It's not a matter of just writing the music. I mean, on top of writing the music, it's the production, it's the mixing, it's the mastering, it's the social media, which is a whole other story. How are you guys able to pull that off, especially looking at the EP? I mean, how did you guys manage to get time? Because I don't suppose this is all you guys do as well. I don't know if you guys have day jobs or anything, but how do you guys fit everything and make it sort of work regarding the EP, well, the 6-track EP? Yeah.
wherever we can, really. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean that's why this EP was 2 years in the making, because everyone's got day jobs. Yeah, I mean you find time when you can. So with the recording process, we went to Love Buzz Studios and we live tracked everything in one day. We live tracked all of the guitars, the bass, and the drums. And this was last year June. And then afterwards it was just Z coming to overdub every the vocals and me mixing and mastering everything with a ton of feedback from the band. So I mean, me and Zandre, we probably had like 20 dates inside this bedroom, just recording vocals and checking the mix and just revisiting stuff. So it's a lot of back and forth and a lot of micromanagement. But something Tina said after our like the band launch was, it takes a village. So we've got Mika, a housemate, that she helps doing the social media, some of our video edits for the socials she would do, and we get a lot of help along the way, which I'm very grateful for. Besides, we are a three-piece, but we have a lot of friends that comes in clutch when we need them, like selling merch and working the door. We always have a homie that's up for it.
No, for sure. It's a really beautiful sense of community there. It's absolutely beautiful. Obviously, the EP has got various influences. I think you guys have really done well in sort of blending all of these elements, but I don't suppose it's quite a simple thing to do. You guys have cited psychedelia, grunge, emo, hardcore, metal and prog as well in there. How did you guys actually make sure that everyone that is sort of into each of those elements, comes out with like a favorite in the EP?
I don't think it was really that thought out. It's sort of a responsibility of every band member individually to work their own influences into the way that they play. A lot of the songs come from very different places and are maybe different genre wise, but are played through the filter of how we do that. So I think everybody sort of found their favorites. In the process of writing and in the process of hearing back the recordings, eventually we just wrote a bunch of songs and it ended up sounding like us. I don't think it was that thought out to try and make one like this or try and make one like that. It's We went through a bunch of ideas that didn't crack the record, and I think we just picked the ones that made us feel good and that felt good to play in the rehearsal room, and naturally the ones that stuck ended up coming out. And we're still operating that way pretty much. If an idea doesn't sort of spark joy, or if it doesn't have enough teeth, then we tend to just scrap it and move on and do something else until we can find something that all of us like.
As a band that generally enjoys and prefers to be hands-on, even when it comes to like curating your own shows and so on, if you had to be in charge of, you guys get a venue somewhere and you need to create the ultimate lineup, the ultimate South African lineup, you guys are the headliners. Who are you guys putting on?
So Cameron in one of his bands, so be it Black Math Sisters or Taekwondo Sleepover.
Yeah,
Like we love Cameron. He's been involved in both of our like own hosted shows. He actually joined us on stage for the EP launch. Like, love Cameron. Like, I would kiss him if he was here. So yeah, like definitely either Black Math Sisters or Taekwondo Sleepover would be on the lineup. I would like to throw Medicine Dolls in just because they played Bad Mood Music Volume 2 with us, and me and Greg goes way back. Do you want to throw a band or two in?
um, maybe a genre clash, but I really love Fuzzagish. I love what they can do to a crowd in terms of hyping them up, and every time I've seen that band, they've been great. So that's definitely a bit of a goal. Is I'd love to play with Fuzzy. I'm also a really big fan of Hellcats, and if they would reform, I'd love to play a gig with Medicine Boy from Cape Town, but they're overseas now. But I think those are some of my
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah, I would just also like to throw in Handpicked Heathens and the Talon in just because they are my best friends, and
Shout out the homies.
yeah, the homies can't be left behind.
For sure, guys. It's absolutely. I mean, it's a little Cape Town heavy, but I also understand what I take pride in what you guys said is obviously with the first couple that you mentioned have got ties to Durban. So shout outs. I mean, Cam,
Yes.
was doing Black Math here. a while ago here in Durban, and then obviously Medicine Dolls when they were the antiretrovirals,
So
He was in the
antiretrovirals.
yes,
anti-retrovinyl for a second
Yeah.
there.
I'm a honorary anti-retrovinyl member. I
What?
yes,
Oh, no
yes,
ways, dude.
yes, yeah.
Man,
So yeah, I
yeah.
met Cam and the Black Math guys when the anti-retrovinyls played at Firkin. It was on top of some mall, I think, in Pinetown. So yeah, with the anti-retrovinyls, we did a lot of Durban shows regularly, and that's how I met Cam and Black Math. Much love for
Dude,
Durban.
dude, were you not there when we went to it was one of the shows in Durban at Path, like on the rooftop. I think you might be referring to that.
Yes,
You
yes,
know the
that's the
pavilion
one. The
shopping
rooftop
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yes, the
The
pavilion.
rooftop
Yes,
one.
that's the one. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Dude,
Yeah,
you probably
yeah.
because I just don't remember whether you were still there or whether it was some of the other members that joined after.
No,
But we
no,
did have
that
like an
was
interview. Yeah. Okay, that must have been after. But
okay.
yes, dude, you look
Yes,
so. I
Crazy.
wondered why you look so
yeah,
familiar, man.
yeah, yeah. No, that was me. Yes, yes, yeah. On the
What?
pavilion. Yeah.
I'm actually speaking to like Durban royalty. I don't think you understand how big the anti-retrovirals were back then. And I remember it was you guys, it was the Myths, it was Mouse. You guys were
Oh man.
absolutely like
Yes.
I literally started Sludge Underground because of the influence that you guys had in Durban back then. Like I wanted to know about these bands. So I'm so stoked that you're here now, dude, and that you guys are still
Yeah.
pushing. And it's absolutely brilliant. Like what?
Yeah, it
But
was actually a bit
yeah.
of a it was a bit of a full circle moment for me playing Bad Mood Music Volume 2, which was our EP launch that happened like a few weeks ago. Like having Cam there featuring on stage with us and having Greg in the Medicine Dolls like headlining the show because yeah, they were just both like such a like important part of my like early musicianship. Yeah, no, I really had fun in Durban back in the early days.
Yeah, I think before we even depart, I obviously want to know what's sort of coming up for you guys. You touched a bit on it, when you mentioned that you guys have quite a few shows planned, some of them in Joburg as well. I didn't hear Durban in there, but maybe you can expand. Where can we see you guys next? What is happening? What are the plans? The EP is out. Is there going to be a music video? Let us in on the future.
Music video concept has been like being hashed out since like over a year ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're definitely still thinking about doing a music video. We sort of hit the ground running, working on new material, which is such a breath of fresh air.
Mm.
But with regards to gigs, we've got two Stellenbosch gigs coming up, which is our first gigs that aren't in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And then we're playing a sort of DIY skate park event in July, which is sort of still being organized. And we are playing District with the Frog, the Italian punk band that's touring in August. And then I'm busy organizing our Joburg tour as we speak. So we are hitting Joburg the 24th of September until the 5th of October. And then we're going to be back here, and then we're going to have another Bad Mood Music, which is going to be another one of our events. And then the year's basically done. But yeah, Durban
Mm.
definitely is still on the cards. We'll definitely come and visit soon.
Venue owners, hit us up.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
music video ideas. Videographers, hit us up.
Hey, sweet, sweet. Tell me about the name before we depart and get handles and stuff. Hi, anxious. What's the story behind that?
I was actually arguing with our drummer about this the other day. We seem to remember it differently, but somebody, I think, said they were anxious in rehearsal, and I think it may have been you that said, "Hi,
No,
anxious, I'm dad." Or
I came with the name. So one of my homies that you've actually interviewed for one of the sludge quickies, Harry from Handpicked Heathens. He sent me a message and he's like, dude, he's got a name for a punk band that we should definitely use, and the name is Hi Anxious, I'm Dad.
Mm.
So it's like a dad joke, Hi Anxious, I'm Dad. And I brought it to the band, and me and Tinas were all very keen for it, but Zange was like, no, Hi Anxious, I'm Dad, it's too long, whatnot. And then one day he was like, dude, just Hi Anxious. And then it's just It just clicked.
Yeah, we had a couple of other ideas floating around, but I think we got so sick of trying to decide on a band name, we just picked that. It made sense. It was a working title that became the title eventually.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
happens pretty
I
often.
love the band name. I love it so much.
It's really awesome. I mean, it sticks. It rolls off the tongue. It's absolutely beautiful. I love it so much, guys. Where can people get in touch with you online if they want to, link up the promoters and the photographers and the videographers that you guys were asking for? Guys, where can they reach you?
They can get us on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll post our PO box in the in the description below. You can mail us.
It's at High Anxious Band, but it's high as in hello, HI, not high as in height.
Like
Um,
Guft.
yeah, not goofed. It's hello anxious. At High Anxious Band for all of our handles, and highanxious@gmail.com if you want to sneak into our emails.
Yeah, best way to get in touch with us is to find us at a show.
Yeah.
We'll treat you like royalty.
Hey, that is perfect, guys. And obviously, you can catch Sludge Underground on the interwebs. We are sludgeunderground.com. If you want to get merch, it's sludgeunderground.store. As for myself, it's at Zwane031. I've had a really awesome time chatting to High Anxious, learned quite a lot about them, and I hope you've learned a lot about them as well. Obviously, if you enjoy the episode, do subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. So, yeah, do hit that subscribe button, and hope to see you guys next time for another episode. It is bye for now.